My sister was murdered and my family tried to cover it up to protect her boyfriend. I always knew something was off about Darren. Even before my sister Amanda started dating him, there was something in his smile that felt wrong. Too perfect. Like a man who had practiced in the mirror just enough to pass for normal. She brought him home for Thanksgiving 3 years ago. Tall, charming, articulate. He complimented my mom's turkey stuffing, held doors for everyone, and made sure to laugh at all the right moments. Amanda was glowing. She held his hand like it was a lifeline, and I remember thinking, she doesn't look in love. She looks relieved. I was the only one who didn't fall for the act. Our parents adored him. Our dad even pulled me aside after dinner and said maybe you could take notes from him. Finally, a guy with manners. Manners, sure. But manners don't explain how Amanda flinched when he touched her shoulder. They don't explain the way she paused every time before speaking, like she was editing herself. She never used to be like that. Amanda was fire. Loud, dramatic, fearless. The kind of girl who jumped into lakes without checking the depth. Who snuck into concerts, told teachers off, made friends out of strangers. She didn't tone it down for anyone. Until Darren. After that Thanksgiving, I didn't see her much. She stopped calling. Her texts became short, overly cheerful. Everything's great. We're just busy. Can't wait for Christmas. When I asked if I could visit, she made excuses. The apartment's a mess. Darren's working nights. I'm just so tired lately. Tired. That was the new word she clung to. Like a safety blanket. I started asking questions. The first time I voiced my concern, my parents dismissed it. Darren's a good man, my mom said. He's educated, clean-cut, respectful. Amanda's lucky. She's not herself, I said. She's growing up, my dad replied. Maybe you should too. I let it go. For a while. Then Amanda showed up to our cousin's wedding alone. She said Darren was out of town for work. But she looked pale. Fragile. Her wrists were thinner than I remembered. She had on long sleeves in July. I pulled her aside in the restroom and asked, "Are you okay?" She smiled. Too fast. Too wide. Of course. Why wouldn't I be? Because you look like you're pretending to be alive. The smile cracked. Just a little. Then she said, "He doesn't hit me, okay? So don't start." I hadn't asked. But she answered anyway. Later that night, she got drunk. Sloppy drunk. She cornered me on the balcony with a glass of wine in one hand and a cigarette in the other. Amanda never smoked. He monitors my spending, she said. Every dollar. I'm not allowed to have cash. I stayed quiet. I have to text him when I leave the house. When I arrive. When I talk to people. Still, I said nothing. She looked at me, tears lining her lashes. He reads my emails. My work stuff. He makes me delete old photos. Said they're distracting. Then leave him, I whispered. She laughed. Bitter. He has cameras in the apartment. In the bedroom. He'll know if I try. That night, I called my mom. Told her everything. She didn't believe me. You're jealous, she said. Amanda told me you never liked Darren. This isn't about liking him. He's abusive. My mom hung up. A month later, Amanda stopped responding to my messages completely. I tried calling. Nothing. I called her work, she'd quit. I messaged mutual friends, none had seen her in weeks. I drove to her apartment, banged on the door for 10 minutes. The curtains were drawn. Lights off. Darren's car was in the driveway. I called the police. They did a wellness check. Told me she wasn't home. That everything looked fine. That there was no cause for concern. No cause for concern. I knew better. The official story came 2 weeks later. Amanda had drowned while swimming alone at night. A freak accident. Darren said she liked night swims. Said she snuck out without telling him. Said he woke up and found her gone. The police ruled it accidental. My parents held a small, tasteful funeral. Darren stood next to my mother like a grieving son-in-law. He delivered a eulogy. Called her his light. Cried on cue. Everyone whispered about how tragic it was. Everyone except me. I knew he killed her. And no one would believe me. After the funeral, I couldn't sleep. I kept waking up drenched in sweat, Amanda's voice echoing in my ears. The last time I saw her, she said he had cameras. That he monitored her every move. And now I was expected to believe she just snuck out in the middle of the night to swim? Bullshit. I tried asking questions. The cops wouldn't give me much. They said the toxicology report showed alcohol. No signs of struggle. No evidence of foul play. Case closed. So I started digging. I went back to Amanda's apartment a week after the funeral. Darren had already moved out. The landlord said he ended the lease early, said it was too painful to stay. When I asked if anyone had cleaned the place, he said no. Said he hadn't even gone inside since the police cleared it. He handed me the keys without asking questions. The moment I stepped inside, I knew. The place reeked of bleach. The walls were too clean. The bathroom mirror was gone. Literally removed. Not broken, gone. In the bedroom, I found a tiny hole drilled into the ceiling corner, just above where the bed would have been. Camera. He really had been watching her. My skin went cold. I started checking the walls for more holes. The closet. The vents. I found 2 more. One pointed at the kitchen. Another at the hallway. He was recording everything. I took photos. Documented everything. I didn't touch anything else. I didn't want to contaminate potential evidence. Then I went to the cops. They told me I had no right to be in the apartment. That my photos wouldn't hold up. That unless I could prove those cameras were active and that Darren used them to harm Amanda, it didn't matter. No probable cause. No warrant. No charges. I told my parents. My mother refused to look at the pictures. You're grieving, she said. You're seeing things that aren't there. He had cameras in her bedroom. You don't know that. I saw the holes. She shook her head. Darren's suffering too. He loved her. I almost screamed. That was the moment I realized. They didn't want the truth. The truth was messy. The truth meant acknowledging that Amanda might not have drowned. That maybe her death wasn't an accident. That maybe they ignored her cries for help and now it was too late. So I stopped talking to them. I focused on finding proof. I tracked down one of Amanda's old coworkers, a woman named Brielle. She used to carpool with Amanda before Darren started driving her to work. I asked if Amanda had ever said anything about abuse. Brielle hesitated. Then she said she used to bring extra clothes. Told me she couldn't go home in the same outfit twice in a row or Darren would think she was cheating. She told me Amanda had a burner phone. I didn't even know. Apparently, Amanda kept it hidden in the break room at work. She used it to text Brielle things she couldn't say out loud. Brielle pulled up screenshots. Long, paranoid messages. Amanda begging her to look after her cat if anything happened. Amanda saying she thought Darren was drugging her. Amanda saying, if I die, it won't be an accident. That was the line. The one that broke me. I took everything to the cops again. The photos. The screenshots. The coworker's testimony. They said the messages were hearsay. That unless we had the physical burner phone, there was no way to verify authenticity. I asked what it would take to reopen the case. The officer said something concrete. A confession. Forensics. A witness. So I went looking for one. I found Darren's ex. Her name was Mel. They dated in college. Took a while to get her to talk. I had to promise anonymity, swear I wasn't recording. She was scared. Said Darren used to break her things. Gaslight her. Made her quit school. Said she once woke up to him standing over her with a belt in his hands, just staring. She got away after 2 years. Changed her number. Moved states. When she heard Amanda was dead, she said she wasn't surprised. I always thought he'd kill someone eventually, she said. I asked if she'd testify. She said no. I didn't blame her. Months passed. I grew obsessed. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. Every free moment went to researching Darren. I found old blogs, comments he made in incel forums from years back. Rants about women. How they were manipulators. How they needed correction. I printed it all out. Made a file. Took it to the police a 3rd time. They refused to reopen the case. Said internet posts from a decade ago weren't proof of murder. So I went to the press. A small independent blog agreed to interview me. I gave them everything. The apartment photos. The messages. The ex's account. The timeline. They ran the story under the headline. Was Amanda Field's death really an accident? A sister's fight for the truth. It went semi-viral. Thousands of shares. People started asking questions. That's when the threats started. Blocked numbers. Emails with no names. Comments like, you should have drowned with her. Dig too deep and you'll find your own grave. Stay in your lane, bitch. I showed them to the police. They said unless someone tries something, there's nothing we can do. Darren went silent. Deleted his socials. Moved again. But I wasn't done. Because then finally I got a break. Someone mailed me a flash drive. No return address. Inside? Surveillance footage. From Amanda's apartment. The file was labeled bedroom_NOV14. I clicked play. And everything changed. The footage was grainy, static-laced, clearly from a hidden camera, exactly like the ones I found holes for in Amanda's apartment. The timestamp confirmed it, November 14th, 1:23 a.m. 2 weeks before her death. In the video, Amanda sits on the bed, clutching a pillow to her chest. She looks tense, rocking slightly, her eyes darting toward the door. She's wearing a sweatshirt, one I recognize. Our high school colors. She starts talking aloud, barely above a whisper. There's no one else in the frame. Her voice is hard to make out, but I crank the volume up and lean in. I know you're watching, she says. You always are. She pauses. I don't know if I'm going to make it to Christmas. If you're seeing this and I'm gone, tell Sadie I'm sorry. I wanted to leave. I tried, but he knows everything. My breath caught. I froze the frame and took a screenshot. Her eyes looked glassy. Terrified. She knew. The video cuts off abruptly. Just static. That's all there was. One file. One clip. But it was real. I don't know who sent it, maybe a neighbor, maybe someone who'd hacked Darren's system before he cleaned it out. But I didn't care. I had something undeniable now. I drove straight to the police station. I showed them the flash drive. They took it this time, logged it into evidence, promised to reopen the investigation. For the first time in months, I allowed myself to exhale. I thought justice was finally coming. I was wrong. 3 weeks passed. Nothing. I called for updates, left messages. No response. Finally, I walked in, demanded answers. The detective assigned to the case wouldn't meet with me. A different officer came out and said, "We're still reviewing the validity of the footage. It may have been staged." Staged? I snapped. By who? She's dead. We're not ruling out emotional distress. She may have recorded that during a breakdown. I stood there stunned. They found her in a lake, I said, with bruises on her arms. No shoes. In winter. We reviewed the autopsy. Nothing was deemed suspicious at the time. They weren't going to do anything. Even with the footage, they were going to bury it. I walked out of that station in tears. That night, I went online. Reddit, TikTok, YouTube. I uploaded everything. The video, the screenshots, the burner phone texts, Darren's incel rants, Mel's testimony with her permission this time. I used my name. No anonymity. No aliases. Just truth. The internet did what it always does. They tore it apart. Half the comments were supportive. Half were brutal. Fake. Attention-seeking bitch. Probably killed her sister for clout. But the story reached the right people. A true crime podcast picked it up. Then a YouTube channel. Then a local news outlet. A few weeks later, an investigative journalist contacted me. Said they'd been trying to link Darren to 2 other accidental deaths, both girlfriends. Both drowned. They had FOIA requests pending. If they found patterns, they'd do a full expose. Finally, someone else was fighting too. Then my parents called. I hadn't spoken to them in months. My mom was crying. She said, "Why are you doing this? Haven't we lost enough?" My father added, "You're ruining Amanda's memory. She wouldn't want this circus." I almost threw my phone. Wouldn't want justice? I said, wouldn't want Darren exposed? She made her choices, he said. I hung up. That was the last time I spoke to them. They didn't want to believe their daughter had been abused. Or worse, that they ignored it. A month later, the journalist sent me the story before it went live. In it, they linked Darren to 2 previous girlfriends who died under similar circumstances. One slipped in the bathtub, drowned before paramedics arrived. Another fell off a dock during a camping trip. Witnesses said Darren tried to save her. Both women had filed previous police reports, stalking, harassment, threats. Nothing was done. Darren had a pattern, and Amanda had been the final one. The story went live. It exploded. Darren's face was everywhere. His workplace put him on leave. The police reopened Amanda's case for real this time. Then the threats started again. Worse than before. This time, they came with photos. Of my apartment. My car. My mailbox. No name. No return address. Just a photo and a message. Keep digging. See where you end up. I went to the cops. They told me to be careful. To get cameras. To consider a restraining order. But against who? They couldn't trace the photos. The IP address used to send them bounced off proxies in Russia and Iceland. They offered me a pamphlet on online harassment safety. That was it. A week later, I found my cat dead. No signs of trauma. No blood. But he was cold and curled up on the doormat, eyes wide open. I'd had him for 7 years. I buried him in the backyard. Cried harder than I had since Amanda's funeral. This wasn't just threats anymore. Someone was watching. And they were warning me. I packed a bag. Stayed with Brielle for a while. She understood. She'd been scared of Darren too. We started a private group for women who dated him. There were more than we realized. He bounced from city to city, job to job. Always charming. Always possessive. Always walking away before things exploded. Amanda wasn't his first. We were determined to make her his last. Then, out of nowhere, the police made an arrest. But not Darren. Someone from the local precinct. A tech. He'd been leaking information. Covering for Darren. They found emails. Money transfers. He was the one who cleaned the apartment. The one who erased the security footage. The one who delayed the flash drive analysis. And he was Darren's cousin. It all made sense now. The reason the police had dragged their feet. Why evidence kept vanishing? Why no one took me seriously? It was all rigged, all protected. But now? Now the dam had cracked. The question was, would it finally break? The trial was brutal. Not Darren's, his hadn't even started yet. This one was for his cousin, Mark, the IT tech who'd sabotaged Amanda's case. The prosecution laid out everything: emails between Mark and Darren, deleted files, altered timestamps. Witnesses testified about Mark's history of helping Darren clean up personal messes. But the defense pushed hard. Said Mark was coerced. Said Darren was manipulative and charismatic, that Mark had no idea Amanda was in danger. Still, the jury didn't buy it. Guilty, tampering with evidence, obstruction of justice, accessory after the fact. 10 years. It wasn't enough, but it was something. It was a crack in the wall. After that, Darren vanished. He deleted all his social media, quit his job, moved out of his apartment. The journalist helping me tried to track him, but Darren had covered his tracks well. They suspected he'd gone out of state or worse, abroad. I told myself it didn't matter. His face was out there now. His past was out there. He couldn't hide forever. But the silence grew louder. My inbox stopped pinging. The messages stopped. No photos. No threats. Some people would have been relieved. I wasn't. I didn't trust quiet. Not anymore. Every day I checked my locks twice. Took different routes to work. Slept with pepper spray under my pillow. Every shadow made me flinch. I lived like that for 6 months. Then, one night, I came home and found my front door ajar. Just slightly. The light in the kitchen was on. I knew I hadn't left it on. I froze. Called 911. The police swept the place. Nothing stolen. Nothing broken. But on my coffee table was a flash drive. No label. No note. Just that. They logged it into evidence. I didn't watch it. I couldn't. But the detective did. They told me it was a video of Amanda. Different from the last one. This time she wasn't crying. She was talking. Calm. Methodical. Detailing things Darren had said to her. How he'd made her feel owned. How he told her if she ever left, he'd make sure nobody else could ever have her. She talked about the night he locked her in the bathroom. The time he pushed her down the stairs and claimed she was clumsy. It was damning. But here's the catch. The file's metadata said it had been created 2 weeks after Amanda died. The police couldn't explain it. They tried to verify her voice, her face, her surroundings. It looked real. It sounded real. But how? Some said it was AI. Some said it was Darren mocking us with deepfakes. But me? I think it was real. I think she recorded it earlier and he buried it. Hid it away. And now somehow someone wanted me to find it. After that, a grand jury was convened. The journalist's investigation helped. So did the outcry from social media, podcasts, YouTubers, survivors who came forward. Darren was indicted. 2nd-degree murder, aggravated assault, multiple counts of stalking and coercive control. They issued a warrant and found him in Idaho, living in a tiny cabin under a fake name. He'd grown a beard, changed his hair, got a dog, but it was him. He didn't resist arrest, almost like he wanted it. I didn't go to the arraignment, but I got the transcript. He pleaded not guilty. His lawyer argued it was all circumstantial, that Amanda had a history of emotional instability, that the video was fabricated, that Darren was the victim of a witch hunt. The trial is scheduled for next year. I'll be there. I'll take the stand if they let me. I'll show the jury what Amanda was too afraid to. As for my parents, they've cut contact. They told the press I was mentally unwell, that I had a vendetta, that I was embarrassing the family. But I don't care anymore. They chose denial. I chose truth. I still have Amanda's necklace, the one she wore in the first video. I keep it in a shadow box by my bed. Some nights I dream of her. She's not crying. She's not afraid. She's laughing. She's free. I don't know how this ends. Maybe Darren gets convicted. Maybe he walks. Maybe he haunts me forever. But I made a promise on the day I buried her and on every day since. She won't be forgotten. They won't get to rewrite her story. Amanda loved fiercely. She deserved safety, joy, a future. They tried to erase her. I made her unforgettable.